Hey, welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip.
Chip.
There he is, right
What's up,
over
guys?
there. Welcome. Great to have you guys on again tonight. We have a lot of things that we want to get into. We're going to start. We've got XRP, we've got Flare, we've got the future of money. XRP right now, smart contracts, rapid transactions. It's all about the transparency. And let's say goodbye to the brick and mortars. You ready, Chip?
Bye-bye. Let's go.
Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
And here we are, Jeff, out of nowhere. It is instantly. Oh, somehow it's Thursday night. It was Sunday, then it's Thursday. And then, as you guys know, we're not streaming tomorrow, but we will be. Jeff will be doing his thing on. What do you want to start with tonight? There's a lot of cool stuff.
Man.
I mean,
I would like to, there's some great posts by John Deaton. There was even a letter, response from the SEC to the judge. But a nice place to start. I think it would be cool just to dive into Flare because it's kind of a nice way to kind of, walk our way into things. And there was actually a nice new partnership between Flare and a company called Delchain. And, this is important for all sorts of reasons. And if I can actually get to my screen to share it, I might do that. I may or may not. But here we go.
There it is.
There it is. Oh, I'm zooming on the wrong one. So Delchain partnering with Flare to advance seamless cryptocurrency transactions. And we know that Flare, relatively newer to the scene, hasn't come out yet, but it is really going to be making some massive changes to the entire financial space. So, one of the things, Chip, that I pulled out of this article that we can get into, if we really focus in on Flare, and a lot of people still uncertain as to what Flare is, but there was a great statement within the article. It says, Flare doesn't require a token for staking to garner security. Flare's token Spark, which is FLR, is used to enable a trustless, non-custodial, and decentralized way to enable any cryptocurrency from any other chain to be used in smart contracts on Flare. And then Delchain is actually now an official custodian for Flare's native token, which is FLR.
Oh, that's interesting.
Now, yep.
Is this out of the Bahamas? This one is this? It says Nassau, Bahamas. Interesting.
It is.
That's
Delchain in the Bahamas.
It's right there, man. If I could drive there, it would take me about 45 minutes. That's how close it is.
There you go. Now, what's interesting here, I like this because if we can zoom in here without me messing it up.
Oh, there you go.
But there we go. So Delchain is leading a one-stop shop for blockchain financial services and aims to bridge the gap between regulated financial services and the world of cryptocurrency. So here we are, we're starting to see real world, blending in with crypto. And what a better place to start than with a platform that's utilizing some of the XRPL, some of the Ethereum that kind of operates nicely within all playing fields.
Pretty interesting. I was just looking at their website here. It's an interesting line, bridging the gap between regulated financial services and the world of blockchain. So it'll be interesting to see what that actually brings. But if you think about what Flare is really doing, I really love this because Flare is building this ecosystem. They didn't say it's not like a project where they're going to do this and the project do that. It's an ecosystem. And a lot of builders are coming to it, a lot of partnerships. Somebody put a tweet out today that I thought was interesting. They said, thank you to Flare, and I think Flare retweeted this, for giving Doge an actual use case. And, if you think about it, Doge is not a joke anymore. You'll actually be able to use it on the Flare network. So it's going to be interesting, Jeff. So I'm interested to find a little bit more out about Delchain.
That's it. Yeah, me too. I when you start seeing, big partnerships, and Flare, Spark hasn't even been launched yet. Flare really hasn't gone live yet. And here you already have partnerships being established. The one thing that I take away from, all of this, and I think is really impressive, I'm trying to find, when you really get down to it, in terms of, it has some interesting dimensions, to Flare overall. We can get a little bit, complex, a little bit confusing, but the Delchain response with Flare, we found that their commitment to safety and innovation allows for consumers to continue to trust the cryptocurrency world a little bit more through facilitating secure and seamless transactions. And I think that this is key, when it's, that kind of a statement, this is really at the end of the day, what's needed in order to further this whole ecosystem. So if we want to get into Main Street, you have to bring a level of security and comfort. It has to be easy. It can't be the same experience that, we've gone through trying to get PAC, or, you try to go get XDC, or if you want to go buy sell and you want to get onto Uniswap, or you have to use your Metamask, or you have to go to Pancake, and you're going to all these exchanges and you go to, 3-4 different exchanges in order to buy one asset. That's not the way you attract Main Street.
No, and this seems like a nice bridge right here, because I think I'm going to show their website real quick here. If you look right here, well, this is their website, so it's got that opening line there, bridging the gap between regulated. But look right here, it says their services, which are full service multi-currency banking. So you can have multiple, a bank that has multi-currencies. You can asset management, trading, advisory firm, supporting blockchain companies. One of the only regulated financial firms that support blockchain and digital assets. So that's kind of neat. So there you go, fiat banking, your capital markets, digital access, and there's also benefit. You can also benefit full suite of private banking services. So there's your multi-fiat accounts, optimize your cash positions, and maximize your returns with the treasury team. So it seems to me like they're really kind of bringing old school together with new school. I mean, most people are looking to get away from the fiat, but again, if you're an institution or you're a bank, you're probably not going to be as easy, right? I mean, it's probably going to be a little bit more of a. And what else do I have here? Comprehensive, secure, and insured digital asset custody. So hardware, software security, physical security, and hardware, software security again. So interesting. But well, here's something. Look at this right here, Jeff. Ripple, they use Ripple XRP, but instead of using the token, the token XRP, they're using the company Ripple, and that's always going to be an issue. I think people always kind of.
I've seen that so many times. It
drives me nuts
amazing,
a little bit.
The confusion. It's already a couple years. I think maybe a year and a half. I don't know, 2 years since they made the switch. It seems that way, anyways. I remember when they were going through that whole process. I think you do a little bit of research and you can figure it out.
So they're Lyford K in Nassau, Bahamas. They're also in Singapore. So there you go.
Nice.
And there you have it.
Yep. And hey, just a big shout out to everybody that's here with us right now. Why don't you? I see you guys are giving a shout out from where you're from. But
I dropped it in there a little bit earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Really, really cool to see people coming from all over the world.
My trust line, we're looking to get them on the show too. So they're just head down right now in obviously development, but yeah, we're looking to bring them on and probably come on the show. We'll talk about it. But I'm really excited about Trustline too. That's another one, first stable coin that's going to be on the XRPL. So it's going to be cool. And not only that, but they're going to have a liquidity pool where you can earn interest. It's very fantastic. Where we're going, Jeff, I mean, you just look at how this DeFi is taking off. You got the NFTs. It's just like compared this year when we were just starting to get into that pandemic and we were starting to figure stuff out until a year later, we're in such a great spot, quite honestly. Yeah, okay, the world's burning down a little bit. But when it comes to the cryptocurrency blockchain world, so many new projects taking off, so much opportunity out there, and a whole flurry of new people. We've seen the adoption on Robinhood. We've seen it on Coinbase. We've seen it on every major exchange, and the numbers prove out. They are up huge amount of numbers. And so if you want to look at what that means in YouTube sense, I saw today where their Q1 report, they are up $6 billion in advertising revenue. $6 billion Q1.
Dude, YouTube posted massive
it's
profit.
Huge.
Facebook, blew it out. Twitter, on the other hand, tanked. And after hours, they dropped 11, 12% in after-hour trading. They went down almost $8 in after-hour trading, and that's brutal. That
I
just
know.
brutal response to Twitter.
But they missed the numbers, and the problem is that with the decentralization. Yeah, anybody can put a tweet out there and say, we've been thinking about decentralization. We hired a team a year and a half ago, but nothing's been done. But we're going to talk about it. Well, we're talking about censoring all these groups of people. So what's happening is, innovation. A lot of other platforms. A lot of people fled to Telegram. They fled to Discord. They went to other places where they're not in danger of being deplatformed. And that's the whole issue that, Jeff and I talk a lot about this whole thing about, decentralization, man. It's gonna, before you know it, that's going to become an echo chamber of the same groupthink. Do you fit the Twitter groupthink? No, you must talk like us and look like us and act like us and be us.
Too much groupthink. Look how many of the crypto YouTube channels they pulled down.
Look at that,
guy
Justin,
from PA with his new XRP OTC shirt. Sweet.
That is sweet. By the way, I meant to wear my other one tonight, but I guess I didn't. But there you go. But that's awesome, guys. Glad you had it. I'd like to see, Jeff and I is like, you don't have to put, if you want to put your face in, or just take a picture, like a selfie, like here of your shirt, or some kind of creative way if you don't want your face to be in it, and then put a hashtag down with OTC, and then also tag both Jeff and I and on the chain. Just put a tweet out there, and just like, I want to start seeing that. We're going to start retweeting that, start putting that out there. I'd love to see everybody wearing some OTC gear. That's cool. Like, I got some OTC gear yesterday, and I got a bunch on the way. So excited about that.
Yeah, and I a tweet just came out from the Flare community, and it says, if you're in the US, you can still accumulate XRP on the Uphold exchange. So that's right. Interesting. That's one of the few exchanges out there that you can still get XRP on, by the way.
And Jeff, has this news been plastered all over the place? This particular news right here about Ripple itself. I think we might just pop on there real quick. But does anybody heard about this? Ripple planning an IPO after settling the XRP lawsuit?
I haven't seen any of the 10 videos that were posted on that today.
I haven't seen any of the 6,742 tweets on it either. That's really weird, man. How do we miss it?
I did make some comments on that, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it because, with Coinbase, I was a little bit fired up, with their stock. They're doing a direct listing. I think it was, a net positive for the space to see an exchange, go into the mainstream. And so we start seeing more traditional investors buying into crypto vis-a-vis investing in an exchange. And I thought that was a net positive. Now with Ripple, I think there's different variables, to that conversation, going to a, public kind of stock trading model. And, I don't know if that's good or bad. I look at from, one side, Chip, do you invest in it? Is that something you want to invest in? On the other side, is this something, when you're competing against Swift and building this whole project out, is it something that do you want to go from private centralized to more having to answer to your shareholders?
Jeff, you want to take that from Jesus there?
IPO is the initial public offering for stock, similar to the ICO for, when they're doing a lot of initial coin offerings. The IPO is for stock, and there's different mechanisms of coming out with your stock, and one of them is traditional. You do an IPO drop. Typically, the bankers and some of the institutions get first dibs on your stock, and then they make all that initial ramp up in money when you list. But others have been going through a direct listing, where you saw Coin or Coinbase did a direct listing. They bypass the financial institutions. They do some private sales, but then it's just direct sales to the public, and the order books kind of start taking off. However, we saw a little bit of shenanigan with it because they listed at, what was it, like 250, and it jumped up to 391. Yeah, supposedly jumped up immediately as soon as it opened at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon and 1:30. So with Ripple, I mean, there could be a lot of, passion. There could be a lot going on around it. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, look, whether it goes public or not, I've never really, I've always been interested in Ripple as a software vendor, as a technology sort of an enterprise. The fact that they're building the software and building the rails that can utilize the XRP and the ledger, I think that's what's really key. But I think with any IPO, just look at what Coinbase did for crypto. Do I personally want to invest in it? You can do some pre-IPO stuff. I know Crypto already talked a lot about it. But for me personally, I'm not that interested in it. I'm really steeped in the whole crypto thing. And yeah, I have stocks too, but there's I have my favorites there. But I've never really seen Ripple. I'm more excited about whether they do an IPO or they do some kind of a direct listing or SPAC or whatever it might end up being or looking like. I think it's going to be fantastic for us as investors and the whole crypto community at large, because just same way there became a lot of excitement and a lot of people didn't know what Coinbase was. What's Coinbase? What is crypto? Oh, you buy Bitcoin there? What else do they have? You go in there and you see all these other things. Oh, you can buy Polygon, you can buy this, you can buy that. So when you start looking at all the other opportunities and possibilities, I think that's probably why I'm more excited about it, but not in the sense of as an investor, but I think it's just going to bring a flurry of people and not only that, but what it's going to do for the price of XRP, it's just going to skyrocket it. And when you get the approval of the SEC, you put all the other stuff, the regulation, all that garbage behind you. I mean, the fining, the coming after, and you do your initial public offering, which means you have the SEC's blessing, right? You're golden. You're golden. You're pretty much approved, and now you're going to see a flurry of institutional investors and a lot of people coming in crypto.
That's right. Yep. Oh, trying to get.
Is that the price?
Here. That is the price of Coinbase.
Somebody bought it at 375. Oh God.
Yeah. So you look at the 52-week high on that, and it's $429 at the 52-week high. Previous close yesterday closed out at 298. 52-week low at 282, but today it had a high of 300 and a low of 292, and now it settles at 294 going into Friday. Friday many times is a sell-off day, so we're going to potentially see it go down even further. I don't see, after market it had a net 0.01% or a 3-cent gain in the after hours, but ever since it opened, Coinbase has just been in this slide, and so if you wanted to be in that under $300 range to buy into Coinbase, here's the opportunity. I mean, there was so much hype around it.
What's
I think
the
that was a
cap,
problem.
Jeff? What's the market cap on that? I don't see it.
Market cap 58 billion.
Oh, 58 billion. It's actually kind of small.
Yep.
But again,
that's Coinbase. We don't know what to expect if Ripple was to go. Who knows?
Well, if you look back at, let's say, I remember all the hoopla around Facebook. I said that it's going to slump immediately, and it did. And this is pretty normal for a lot of hype. A lot of hype and speculation. Like you said, the people that got in at 250 were institutional. It ramped up to 375. They cut it. They made the spread. They got in. They got out. So there's a lot of that manipulation going on in early days. It's not really manipulation, but look, the early people that were able to actually, not us, we weren't able to get it at 250, right? Or 245, whatever it was. I saw that. I was like, what? So yeah, you could have made the spread, but then there's the people holding the bag at 375, I think it touched 380. And with any of these, and of course I know people and have friends that are not the happiest right now. They're kind of new in crypto. They started getting the excitement when they started seeing XRP heading towards $2, and they bought in at $1.70, about $1.65, and then they see it slide down to last Friday, I think it was like 96 cents, and then it went up from there. So it's kind of interesting, Jeff, to watch this whole sort of market and the way it's going. It's just, look at that. And what kills me is Tether. It's red. It looks like it's all like it's so volatile. It's 90.99.
It's 99 cents. It's $1. It's 99 cents.
It's $1. 0.2 of a cent off. It's ridiculous that they even do that. It's either $1 or it's not. Stop with all the nonsense.
Look at XRP, 18% up in the past 7. BNB coin getting ready to hit 600. Ethereum still hovering over that $2,700 mark on its way to 3,000. Bitcoin settling in just a bit over 50. It's an interesting spot to be in with everything. Everything slowed down. I mean, you saw some over the past few weeks, like big movements. And now look, I mean, just in the past 24 hours, we're talking about really, really small percentages overall,
Yeah.
3%, you got 0.2%, but overall 7 days. And, it's just, it's an interesting spot because you look at maybe that lack of volatility all of a sudden settling in as the market is preparing for something. What are people they're waiting, watching, waiting. It's interesting. It's just, it's a lot of psychology that goes into this, and even like with Stellar, I just like the fact that, we've kind of reached another plateau as you kind of go up the stairs, with the market. And, we're at really low lows and the bottom stairs. We go up, then they, if what was it, about a month or so ago, we stumbled all the way back down, and then it rose back up, and I took a step down and go a few steps up, maybe a few steps back, but we're at a higher level now. And it's just, one of the things that you brought up, the difference between now and 2017, 2018 is that there's partnerships, there's things that are being built like the Delchain Flare, project, and there's many other projects like that. It's
and we're still early days.
What's that?
We're
Early
days.
days.
And we're still really early days. And I think people forget that. It's like when you look at the beginning of the month, I think we're sitting around 43, 44 cents. And it seems like an eternity ago, but let's not lose sight of the fact that it was a month ago. Okay. So, and when you go like, oh, it's $1.40, why? Because we had the excitement of it going almost to 2. Now, if it goes to 250 or 275 and slides back to 220, you'll be like, wake me when it hits 3. That's kind of like how we look at these things, but you also need the perspective. And Jeff, I thought it was a good idea to kind of get into that John Deaton tweet, because this is right up our alley, right? This is right up our alleyway right here, man. This is like right in Jeff and Chip land. So John says that a friend of him sent this to him, so he thought he would share it. They cite the Wall Street Journal article about the SEC and v Ripple, and to XRP holders motion to intervene, which obviously John filed on behalf of all of us. The more people and entities that become aware of the SEC's wrongful actions, the better. And obviously, I know this publication well, the Federalist Society, named after the Federalist Papers. If you guys don't know that, it's a good thing to Google, because that's basically, what was that, 20, 21, 22 years? That was the back and forth of the U.S. states fighting back and forth when they were trying to create the U.S. Constitution. And they're really phenomenal to read and research. If you're really a student of history, I'd go back and read the Federalist Papers, because you had a lot of the framers really going back and forth about what they should do. And there's a lot of brilliance that goes on and what they argued and why they argued it. And they had some like tear down, knockdown like fights too. It was pretty impressive. But I wanted to go right here. It says this uncertainty is on display in the SEC case against Ripple. And they cite the Wall Street Journal editorial. It says the SEC lawsuit has been called the cryptocurrency trial of the century. And I think that's really about spot on. And it says this right here, look at this. The SEC does not allege that any XRP investors were defrauded. Nonetheless, the agency seeks billions in penalties, well, potentially, from Ripple and 2 of its executives based on a very old legal framework of the New Deal era. Remember that, Jeff, the New Deal?
I remember the New Deal.
That was also it was a new deal, but it was a very bad deal. Statutes and a 1946 Supreme Court test for determining what the security is. The SEC attempted to stretch this framework. And I like what they're saying here, because we're going back to the Howey test, and we're trying to fit this into like 2021. I mean, man, I know we were promised flying cars, but we do have cryptocurrency. I mean, we got something, and we're getting the flying car bit. So I don't know. I don't know if you had a chance to read this in full, but it is a torturous stretch, because a security is an ownership share in a company or a right to share in its revenues. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, it does. But I think many of these articles keep making, a mistake, kind of an error in fact. And we have to really, be cognizant of the SEC statements. Now, the SEC has to be held accountable for making certain statements and differentiating between their personal opinion and their official opinion. Now, it's so easy to go out and run around and say, no, I wasn't there in my official capacity. I was there in my personal capacity. Now, if you get invited, and so that's where, I guess to the point of the articles, maybe we're on point because these individuals are invited based on their official capacity. So if Jay Clayton was invited to speak someplace, was he invited as Jay Clayton, or was he invited as Jay Clayton, chairman of the SEC? Because if he was, so if it was like, no, Jay, we don't want you because of the fact of your affiliation with the, we just want Jay. We want Jay, and we don't want any of the SEC fluff. Just Jay. Come and speak. Just be Jay. So he gets up in front of them, and as just Jay, as we know after the fact, even though he's invited there with his title as chair of the SEC, makes a statement about Bitcoin. And Hinman did the same thing, and others have done the same thing. And Hester Pierce has done the same thing. Come out and make statements about the status of specific digital assets or the digital asset space as a whole, but then they're able to walk it back and say, no, that wasn't our official capacity. So if you bring up the letter again, that's where I think there's a bit of confusion there. I think the SEC needs an answer for that, Chip.
Yeah, I see where you're going on that, but I mean, yeah,
open the letter. Open the letter. You'll see.
I want to go into, so I think
there.
This is
just that fact right there.
Because XRP is built for utility, faster and cheap international transactions rather than investment. I mean, it is investment too, but
scroll back up. You skipped over. Oh, you skipped
don't
over.
Don't worry about that. That's not important.
That was my point.
What's important is what I'm reading right now.
No, go back up. Scroll back up
to
my point. Where is right there? So the SEC. So this is the mistake in the statement.
Well,
the SEC has declared that Bitcoin and Ether, the two largest cryptos, are not securities.
The mistake isn't assuming it meant something. They could have said, they could have said, well, the Howey test doesn't apply anymore, but it doesn't mean the Howey test doesn't apply just because they thought it was old and dilapidated. They did declare it.
Answer for their mistakes.
Well, no, but see, but here,
it's official or it's not official.
Yeah, but I don't look at it that way. This is a correct statement. They did declare that Bitcoin and Ether. Now, the SEC declared no, Hinman, or you had Clayton, right? But they did declare it if you're going to roll it up to the agency level that they were not not securities. Okay, but again, I don't necessarily think they're necessarily making a mistake, but I think it is a mistake to assume that the SEC, and we've talked about this, the SEC doesn't have. They enforce stuff. They're not making legislation. So that's the mistake in assuming that they declare that because somebody said it, it means something. It doesn't mean anything. Like I said, I think Jay Clayton. What do you think about the Howey test? I think it's stupid. Well, I see the SEC declared the Howey test to be stupid. Well, no, it's the same. Right. So yeah, I get your point now, Jeff. So yeah,
that's the point.
All right, let's go to this right here. Built for utility, faster, cheap international transactions, right there. And they say rather than investment, doesn't matter, but it's less likely a security than Bitcoin and Ether in at least one respect. And then for more than 8 years, the SEC had allowed XRP to evolve from a promising digital asset with superior functionality in the third largest digital currency, notes John Deaton, who filed the motion to intervene in the SEC's case on behalf of over, well, what is it now, 15,000, 12,000, 14,000, who knows?
It was like 15. Yeah.
The number keeps growing and growing, and this is what happens. This is another good stuff. What happens when agencies issue clear rules instead make backdoor policy by prosecuting conduct that was previously acceptable, right? That's how they make rules. That's the only way you get clarity. It's like, did the SEC come after you? Yes. Okay. Thank you, Kick. How about Telegram? Yes, they did come after us. We know. We now know.
Yeah. How about Ripple? No, they ignored us for 8 years.
Yeah, and then they allowed them to do a bunch of other stuff. So yeah, the whole thing I think in some sense is a little bit on the troubling side. But what are you gonna do, man? I mean,
and that's where the SEC needs to answer for their transgressions in that case.
I don't know if they have to answer for it. They don't make legislation. The only legislation that can get done is to be done through Congress. That's it. That's the only ones.
No, I agree.
The legislators, the legislatures, but they're acting in the capacity like, well, we're going to get together on crypto. We're going to kind of like workshop this, and we're going to. Well, that's great, but that's not going to do anything either. It's just going to be a bunch of blah blah blah, which is what your point is, Jeff. Of them like just saying all kinds of stuff, but it doesn't really mean anything. And I think what's really coming out in this whole thing, and I can't wait for this to actually happen. But John Deaton has alluded to this. There's been a lot of great research on this. I know Crypto Eddie, she also and covered a lot of stuff. Now, he put out a post on crypto law, which we'll take a look at, examines the documented facts on how Jay Clayton, William Hinman, and Mark Berger have clear personal financial interests linked to their official acts while at the SEC. And he says, if you read my blog, remember that less than 2 months before Clayton authorized the SEC versus Ripple with Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson case, One River started investing in Bitcoin and Ether. Less than 90 days after the case was filed, One River hires Clayton. That seems a little, if anything, the optics are bad, right? At the very least, the optics are bad.
The optics are definitely bad. He comes out, but Brian Brooks gets picked up by Binance. Clayton gets picked up by One River. Hinman gets hired into the crypto space. These guys, they're hiring all these people, A, because they're in the know, B, because they're big supporters of the space. Jay Clayton got so much flack for being anti-crypto and anti-digital asset, and then even Brian Brooks caught a lot of flack, so how is it that you get both of them, with they're getting flack for being anti-crypto. They both then go out and get hired by crypto agencies. It makes no sense. So I think that there's something to be said there. And then on the counterbalance is where stuff doesn't make sense. Right. So they get a lot of flack, but then Gensler, who everyone says is the savior, he's the grand savior of the crypto space because he taught at MIT and talked about cryptocurrency at one point, but he's the grand savior that gets hired into the SEC because he taught about it.
Well,
but
Jeff,
I balance, because it doesn't seem like he's taking a very pro approach in this case.
I agree with that, but I think the stronger credentials he holds is the fact that he was a chair of the CFTC. I think that, to me, I kind of had some high hopes, only in the sense that, you lead that type of an organization, which is another enforcement type of an agency, where in order to be successful and come out of that walking away, a lot of people can share stuff. They might not have been looked back at as successful, right? People probably might not view Jay Clayton as successful, but I think Jeff and I might have a different view of that. Jay Clayton is going to give us what we are looking for faster than it took over the last 8-9 years. So people look, oh, it's bad and everything, but sometimes you got to go through the dark to be able to see the light. And the fact of the matter is that who's looking bad and who's coming out smelling like a rose? It's not the SEC. And if you want to see the favors, I told you I got a giant box of chocolates picked out for my boy Jay. I'm going to be sending it to him in the mail. What's up, my brother Jay? I'm going to give it to him, and he'll be like, and this one's delicious. It has, like you take a little bite out of it because you don't know what chocolate it is. You put that one back. You take another one.
And you put it back in the box.
Yeah, you put it back and somebody bid, and you're like, well, I don't like that one because you don't know what it is. But look at this here. So this is the blog post. Now, we're not going to go through it all, but I just want to show you how painstakingly John E. Deaton lays this out, right? So he talks about Clayton and Hinman when they supported the Chinese tech giant Alibaba. He gets into the 2016 Chinese-controlled Bitcoin miners moved 65% of the network Bitcoin hash rate since then, proof of work token. This gives China the control. So you see how he's tying this all back in? Jay Clayton nominated as chair. Then you got Hinman named a director of division of corporate finance at the SEC. Clayton declared Bitcoin. Go ahead.
No, I'm just looking at you can easily piece together history of things that happen to try to build a case and create an outcome that you desire. And their desired outcome by piecing all these things together is to create a narrative that Clayton has some sort of nefarious, activity going on while he was at the SEC vis-a-vis, his crypto, statements, and then coming out and launching this case. That's the whole purpose of piecing all this stuff together. And I think it's a real kind of a dangerous path to walk down when you have a narrative. And, I love everything that Dean has put together. But in this scenario, I just think it's a little bit, I disagree. I disagree with it, because you can read into anything and just put out statements without clarifying what each one of these actions actually are. And I think you have to go a lot further. I see the links, but there's more to it. There's so much more to it.
You acted as if there's a summary where he says, because X, Y, and Z happened, that means this. He's not doing that at all. What he's doing is he's laying down facts, right? So he's saying, like, if you look at this here, 2019, Simpson Thacher led Chinese crypto mining company Canaan to their IPO. Canaan provides the technology used for mining Bitcoin and publicly bullish on Bitcoin. Hinman was still at the SEC when this happened. He was still collecting checks. So all he's saying is that, I mean, this is just a fact. This did happen. He was getting his $1 million checks from Simpson Thacher. Now, at the very least, there's an impropriety there in the sense that if you're going to go work for a government agency, most government officials have to leave behind, you know, their private businesses, some depending on the capacity. But when you're going to be in an enforcement role, when you're in an enforcement role, the optics are bad, man. They don't look good.
It might be optics, but we're making, by putting these facts together, you're trying to create evidence that doesn't necessarily exist because we're trying to prove something that's, you know, here's what you want to prove. You want to prove that Clayton and Hinman are somehow, you know, they led up to the filing of this SEC case, and they're bad because all these things happened while they were in office.
I don't see that though.
And,
but you're making an assumption.
That's exactly what I see.
That's the assumption you're making. That's not what he's saying, though.
I'm not making an assumption. That's exactly what this is. And I'm not making an assumption. I'm saying you're laying out facts of evidence that happened around them, but not while they were. I mean, you got to draw a direct conclusion to them. Let me show me direct activity of bad wrongdoing that they did.
That's not the point of this whole thing. The point of this thing is
they're trying to make them look bad.
He's saying there's a question. Was there a corrupt intent? Was there a corrupt intent at the SEC? Was there intent? He's not saying there was corrupt intent at the SEC. It's not any of that stuff. He's showing just basically kind of like a timeline of what happened.
Right, things happen. So things happen while they're at the SEC. You know, this case is going, you know, I mean, you can do that with anybody.
No, you can, but the difference I think here is that it's hang on a second. Let me just hang on a second. There's something.
Hey, that's how we do it. Get the lemon tree involved. So, all right, wait till he comes back. This is getting good. While we wait for him to come back, let's look at some other good things. Let's see if he comes back here quickly. Unfrozen. Are you back unfrozen?
Yeah. So by the way, I use 3 different types of software today. I was using, by the way, this is to tell you how shitty this damn thing. Okay. Let me just go there. And I ran a pretty big webinar today. I had 75 tabs open on my Chrome browser. Didn't freeze, didn't move, shared screens, did this, that. This software is corrupt to the core. So yeah, look, Jeff, all I'm saying is I have no problem with where John's coming from on that one. He's basically just saying, let me take Jeff out of here for a second. Let me remove him from there. Okay, when Jeff comes back, here's what we're gonna do. He's probably not listening, so no, I mean, of course, you know, sometimes we're gonna disagree. I mean, look, making an assertion and going there, I don't have an issue with that at all. I think it's healthy to look at stuff like that. Okay, here he is. All right, ready, everybody? Go. I was like, wait, when Jeff comes back, we're gonna play a little prank on him.
Oh, so the whole time.
Now you're in a weird spot, dude. Like, watch this. So now some bit of good news here. Let's share a little bit of good news. And here we go.
Mix it up sometimes. And I wasn't supporting the SEC. It had nothing to do with.
I'm not either. I think it's good to be in question. I think you should ask questions. And was there intent? I don't know. I don't necessarily know that there was intent. I don't necessarily know. I think
it's an interesting way to look at it, but you know, you got to look at everything.
So this blew up today on crypto Twitter. Coinbase now allows U.S. users to buy crypto with PayPal. You know, if you're hooked up to your bank account, you don't have to wait anymore. Now it's instant. And so this was kind of one of the issues that they had, and I guess it had to really do with PayPal. I'm not really sure if it was Coinbase, but if you have a PayPal account, you can now hook it up and you can go ahead and buy crypto over there at Coinbase. PayPal linked credit cards and e-checks cannot be used though. So you simply got to make sure you have hooked up to your bank account. Most people hook it up to their bank account. Anyway, listen, Billy Bob says he likes it when I'm on the left side of the screen. All right. Well, I'm usually, I don't know. I think I'm on the wrong side right now because I don't know, man. I can
You're on
just
the
see
left
this.
side. Stay on the left side.
Am I on the left
So
side now?
but interesting with PayPal. PayPal, didn't we just go through this moving money through PayPal, and then you actually have to accept it, and then you have to it just added a little bit of little too much with PayPal. I don't know. I just like move the money. The money's there, and the process works. PayPal, you had to accept it, do a few other things. But anyhow, I think it's
Look at
good.
this.
It's a net. Again, it's important that this is happening. Definitely important.
Can limit 25,000 a day. Coinbase charges basically 4%. Depositing USD from PayPal into
Bam.
Coinbase costs 2.5. That's crazy, Jeff.
What? So if you're moving USD from PayPal into Coinbase, they're charging you almost credit card fees.
Pretty much. Yeah.
So this is overall, it's good because it shows that the space is kind of coming together. A big space like PayPal, Coinbase, allow the money to flow. There's no instant settlement coming out of PayPal because they're doing it traditional way. They're charging 2.5%. Yeah, but there's a lot of this going on. You want to buy crypto with your credit card, you're going to pay X%. But if you feel it's going to go up, maybe it's worth the 3%. It's not.
Yeah. Well, they allow withdrawals too, cash withdrawals to PayPal. But what do they charge for that? I don't know if there's a fee for that. I was going to move some Polygon today, and it's gave me luckily where I was moving it from. It says the mining. It actually gave me formerly known as Matic. It said the mining fees are very high right now. Are you sure you want to do this? And then it showed me what the fee is, and I'm like, I think I'm good. I was like, this is what happened to you the other day, Jeff. I don't know if you got an advance warning of that or not. If it just unless it's just like when belly up.
Oh, and I was using the ETH and the gas fees. Holy cow, that was insane.
It was ridiculous.
Just a test move of $100 was what it cost me just to move the one transaction. Cost me 20 just to move the $100, and then then after that, then I wanted to move it off. I moved it through USDC. Then I wanted to move it to USDT. That cost me money over on Uniswap. And then I wanted to, and it was all using Uniswap and Metamask. By the time it was all said and done, if I had to move it off, I didn't have enough ETH, and it was gonna, and the gas fees were gonna be like $45, something like that. It was crazy. So when it was all said and done, it was gonna be like $60 out of pocket just to move from one place and back again. I just wanted to go through that scenario. $100, I would have lost 60 moving my $100 and not doing anything.
But but this again, it's like, so you almost forget that Polygon, look, they're solving a lot of the mining fees, that are happening over. I mean, that's part of one of their use cases, right? So kind of they're creating this sort of side chain to kind of like eliminate what's going on in Ethereum. But at its heart, it's still you're still trading on the Ethereum network, and you're still going to get hammered with these fees. So I was like, what the hell is with these fees? And I'm like, why would I want to move this? Like, and it says, oh, you need ETH. You need to get ETH. And it's like, well, I'm sure I have ETH. So it's like, well, do I put it? It's going to cost this much. And damn well, Jeff, that's only the start of it. When you get going, it's like, oh, no, it's this much. Oh, it's that much. And I'm like, what's the point after a while? And you start realizing that they're going to have to somehow address this at some point.
Oh, it's massive. Look at Carlos. The irony to pay $40 to earn interest. I'm going to pay 40 just to get a couple.
I'm going to pay you so that, right, exactly. And I thought this was a really crazy story, Jeff. I don't know. I want to get your thoughts on this one here. An American university appropriates $4 million for staking 3 cryptos. And this came, right? So Caitlin Lawn, she says, news not reported yet. The state of Wyoming appropriated $4 million for node staking in at least 3 cryptocurrencies run by the University of Wyoming. And what is Wyoming known for, Jeff?
Cryptocurrency, being crypto friendly. I think Wyoming, it's awesome.
Right.
They're now putting their money where their mouth is. This is great. The state of Wyoming. It
says kickstarts the program where gains from the pool, if matched by private donations, go to fund University of Wyoming.
That's awesome. Outstanding.
This is innovative thinking, right? This is something that you got to look at that is super innovating. I mean, this is innovative. I mean, this is what they're doing. So the university itself, instead of like begging for money on street corners and endowments and all this other stuff, they're saying, hey, let's take this money, let's stake it so then it can go ahead and fund and make more money. So I just thought this right here, for a university to be that forward thinking, of course it's Wyoming, man. What are you laughing at?
Would you say it's interesting?
No. Did I say it was interesting?
I don't know.
I think it's wildly interesting. I think it's phenomenal. I think it's like, well, for a university, Jeff, I mean, universities are usually standing on street corners, begging, and then they have like these, like Harvard has hundreds of millions of dollars and they're like, we need money. And then they charge everybody like crazy amount of money. And meanwhile, I don't know if that stuff's in fiat or what.
But if you'd put this in levels of interesting, from slightly interesting to moderately interesting to very interesting, where would you put it?
I'm gonna put it in the hells. I'm gonna put it in the hells. Yeah, it's damn interesting. I'll put it in the hells. Yeah, hells for sure.
Like double interesting, or maybe even triple interesting.
I would probably say it's one of the more interesting stories we've covered this week. Just because, you say because it's a Wyoming initiative. The initiative would be headed by the co-chairman of the Select Committee on Blockchain, the Wyoming Chief Investment Officer, 3 members appointed by the governor with relevant experience in cryptocurrency, and some guy named Ted who doesn't know anything about cryptocurrency. It's like, come on, Ted, get in here. It's like, what do I know about cryptocurrency? We need someone that doesn't know anything. You're going to push the buttons.
Ted, you're clicking this button. We're moving 4 million, and you know how scary it is when you're moving your money.
Ted, your job is to scan the just scan it over there. What do I do? Press this button. Did you check it first, Ted? Well, someone just got $1 million in their wallet. How about that? Of crypto.
That's right.
Plan is submitted to the Cryptocurrency Advisory Council for review. I like this. Don't get your hopes up too high yet. The filing remains a proposal for now. It's a proposal.
It's a proposal. Wait,
no,
it's not for real? What?
No, it's a proposal right now, but I mean, hey, it's going to get there.
It sounded pretty good, but I Richard had said,
super
if you
interesting.
say interesting one more time in this video, I'm going to assume you have a stuttering problem. So we couldn't let that one go.
We all have our foibles.
How many times we had to use interesting? That was pretty funny.
All right. How about if I say this is massively exciting? It's massively exciting. It's massively exciting.
Speedboat. There you go,
Stake
Chip.
this for all of us.
Stake this for all of us. All of us.
Staked for you, man. It is.
Jeff,
when you
come to my barbers for an afro.
Nice. I think that would be. I love the idea of that. I'd love to see you with an afro, Jeff.
Yes.
Can you buy one of those from the store? I'll buy a skinhead. I'll just strap it on. Who was it that made the put us? You remember that where it made?
Oh, that was awesome.
Put your hair on me and made me bald. I mean, man.
Do we have that somewhere? That was pretty.
I hope so. I don't know. Somebody can. You guys can find that.
The usual, sir. Please.
Sorry, Jeff. I got to go back to my old position. It's just not. It's not working for everybody. People aren't happy. They're complaining in there. They're dialing. They're doing stuff, throwing stuff at their screen, which is fine. I mean, that's all good. Tomorrow's going to be a big day. If it goes Ripple's way, we're good. If it goes the SEC way, it's going to be scary. Nothing's going the SEC's way. They're just no.
It's a disaster. Every step of the way has been a disaster. But I guess that's been my whole point with the whole Clayton thing, Chip, is that I feel like it was a landmine that he dropped, for whoever the incoming SEC chair was going to be. Put it out there. Here's the biggest case in crypto history. Here you go. See ya. I'm done. And he leaves. And that's it. So that's been my whole point all along, with that one. And now these guys are tripping all over themselves. But I think we talked about this yesterday. The SEC, it has nothing to do, it's a whole, it's the organization. It's not just the one individual. So you can't just say it's moving in one way or the other because of that individual. It keeps moving in that direction. And I think it eats that individual up. They come in with good intentions and they leave with maybe accomplishing a little bit. That was Clayton's big achievement when he left.
he could go down known for that. I mean, who knows? But you know, I think one of the things we're finding out is how big of an ecosystem. You know, when at the time that Ethereum Foundation was started and Vitalik Buterin, and you had all these ERC20s, now you got the BEP20, you got all this stuff. It's all on Ethereum, right? So when you're building an ecosystem and others will come to it, I kind of feel like that's where Flare is sort of next generation, how it's interoperable with Ethereum. So I think that what it almost feels like what XRP is to Bitcoin, Ethereum is to Flare, if you sort of draw that. And it was interesting, I came across this here, which is Notion Finance right here, Notional. It's a protocol on Ethereum. It facilitates the fixed rate, fixed term crypto asset lending and borrowing through a novel financial instrument called Fcash. Today, it announced the completion of a $10 million Series A funding round from institutional investors. And the use case is basically anyone with an internet connection can lend their money at a fixed rate of interest to businesses halfway across the world with confidence that their funds are secure, with none of the friction that comes with using the traditional finance system. So you see, we continue to build the DeFi space, but again, its backbone is still Ethereum. So it looks forward to easing the global capital flows and examining financial access to those who have been shut out of finance far too long. Fixed rate borrowing is a critical piece of financial infrastructure and essential to building the block of DeFi to realize the potential. But Jeff, what do you think about, do you think that Flare could become that sort of next generation Ethereum, smart contracts?
Yeah,
what do
I
you
mean,
think?
100%. I think, you know, when you look at the Ethereum smart contracts, they were relatively limited to Ethereum. I think what Flare is doing that's so different, and obviously we haven't seen it happen yet, but Delchain believes in it. Others believe in what they're doing. We haven't seen what their capabilities are because it hasn't happened yet 100%, but there's building going on their platform. That tells me a lot. You know, it really, man, I think it's gonna change how more and more businesses are going to get involved because they're going in and they're remaining relatively agnostic. So they're, so right now you're allowing multiple different digital assets, working with both the Ethereum and the XRPL and maybe others. I mean, because they can keep growing and plugging in and developing on the smart contracts. I think we're just seeing just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, just the beginning.
Big shout out to Jungle Inc. in the house. And if anyone's been laying it on pretty strong on the Jay Clayton lizard, man, it's been Jungle's been going down. I'm so glad that I see his face here because he's changed his face to Jay Clayton's on Twitter. And I always get a little bit disturbed looking at it. I'm like, is Jay Clayton putting stuff on? No, it's just Jungle. So he's, it's just one of those sort of things, Holy cow, an awkward silence, Jeff. I'm really struggling here. I'm sort of robot guy today. It's so weird. I don't know. I restarted my computer.
You keep freezing up. So
I don't know, Jeff. I'm so frustrated with this software.
You're frozen chip today.
Yeah, every other three flavors of software that I use today, I use Google Meet, I use Run the World, and I use Zoom. None of which had a problem, and two of them run in the browser.
Nice, really nice.
There you go. Jungle popping bottles.
So, man, Metamask, they're talking about positive news. Metamask surpasses 5 million monthly active users. 5 million. I mean, those are massive numbers. Active users. So think about that. Think about how that works on,
5 million active users. Jeff, 5 million active users with 5 million insane mining fees.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So imagine how much money is being spread around over there. Now, and that kind of leads you into a very important story. And one thing that we've talked about a lot is, not your keys, not your crypto. However, it's going mainstream. So, right. So now Yahoo Finance, what are they talking about? How to be vigilant and protect your digital assets from getting hacked. Oh, we lost Chip. All right. I don't know where Chip went. Chip left. But here we go. We've got the popular platforms like Coin, Coinbase, you've got Square. So notice they don't talk about some of the other traditionals. They're not, referencing, some of the other exchanges. But I think this is very, very, poignant right now when you see Main Street approach to how do you protect yourself? How do you make sure you're not being taken advantage of? Now, prior to, if you go back a couple years, it was all about the ledger. So it was, if you had your ledger, you kept your assets on the ledger, and you didn't have faith that a cryptocurrency exchange was going to be safe in order to protect because of all the hacking on the exchanges. But right now, that narrative is changing somewhat, because there is some level of comfort and that level of comfort is what we're doing with the exchanges. If you're on Coinbase, if you're on Uphold, you feel comfortable. Maybe hopefully we're not being lulled into a false sense of security, and that we should put them back on the ledger. But there's also some scary components of putting your assets on the ledger. You're kind of putting your ass on the ledger, right, Chip? I mean, what we used to talk, I mean, it's such a balancing point. But Main Street, if Main Street's coming in, are they going to be comfortable on the ledger? And do they want to hear about the hacking on exchanges?
Again, I think it's overload for them. They're so used to a bank. Well, my bank has my money, and if something happens or someone, gets a hold of, steals their card or something, the bank makes it right. That doesn't happen in crypto. You lose your crypto, it's like good night. By the way, Gary Niles, yes, you can use Metamask on a Mac because it's a plugin for Chrome, and I have it installed. Not now, but because I'm using Brave. But there you go.
Oh man, do you know today's Thursday?
I do know that, but this is funny, Jeff. I'm so glad you put that up. Genster looks like the Wicked Witch. Garlinghouse is from Kansas. Is it a coincidence? I'll get you, my pretty. Shortage of chips lately. Yeah, there's been a little bit of a shortage. It happens. I had a really important phone call that I didn't have to get. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't. There's no reason. Just
is that why you left?
Well, no, I restarted my browser because I don't know, man. Brave's not a good browser. Why can't they just make this thing work with Safari? Safari is like one of the cleanest browsers in history. If you're a Mac person, you know that.
I don't know.
So Kenneth says, "Hey, I don't have Dogecoin, but I'm wondering why it is in Flare Networks because they included it. That's why. You don't need to have it. You can have. I mean, what they're doing is they're creating an ecosystem. So Litecoin, Dogecoin, XRP. What's the other one? There's one other one. They're talking about potentially ADA, Cardano. Potentially, there's a couple of them that they're looking at. I would imagine at some point. Yeah, at some point, I would imagine it to be inclusive with a bunch of other coins too. We'll see how that goes, but I would imagine it to be more inclusive. So we shall see.
If you don't know anything about it, go over to flare.network or flare.xyz, and you can go check it out. It talks all about it. That changes now, starting with XRP.
Yep, or Flare Community. He does a great job with the videos, so you can go to Flare Community. Really great Flare information. Mickey B. Fresh is another one who puts out really awesome, breaking down, the complexities of what it is. So I'll check either one of them out on YouTube. They're both fantastic.
Yeah, and there's their white paper, so you can go in and you can see all about the Spark, about everything else. Now, directly increasing utility of XRP and the XRP ledger, not an ICO, no competing interests, nothing. But it's good. I'm so excited about this project. I want to see it develop. I want to see it go mainstream.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're there, Jeff.
Happen with it.
I mean, maybe by July we'll all have our first dump of coins. It's exciting.
Yeah. Yep.
It's I mean, look, can you really complain when you're going to get it? It was free, for heaven's sake. Come on. I mean, it's not going to be when am I going to get my damn free token? Yeah, I'll wait another month. Okay. Yep. I mean, it could take 3 years to get the whole dump, but that's all right. And then like 3 years from now, you get like one of the troughs and it turns out it's worth $17.40. And you got this massive tax event. Listen, if you're paying a lot of taxes, that's your complaint, you're in a good position. So
that's right. Hey, Mickey, it's the only one from Germany that's up right now and on because everybody else is sleeping at this time. Yep.
That is impressive. German heritage over here. I don't have. Do I have German heritage? No, I have Hungarian heritage. Not German. Close. It's close. There you go. And awesome. Irish because they made their way around the world pretty well. And Italian. How about that? Who would have
Good
guessed it?
stuff. But we're not going to be back tomorrow night. I'll be back on Saturday morning for the Huddle Review, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we come back again Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sunday through Thursday, 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Freeze, Chip, freeze. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Sunday through Thursday. We have some really interesting guests that are going to be coming up starting on the 4th. So stay tuned, because on the 4th, we do have Alex Mashinsky from Celsius is going to be on with us. So start gathering and get excited about that one. We're fired up to have him on again. And that's what I've got, Chip. For those that are brand new here, if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit subscribe, hit the bell notifier. That way you get notified when we go live. Hit the thumbs up on your way in and your way out, all that good stuff. And let's see, Chip, last statement, Chip? No last statements.
We'll see
There
you
you
on
are.
the
Come
next
on.
one. I turned the lights off, so it's the real dark in here. But I turned the lights off, and guys, we'll see you on the next one. Chip and Jeff out.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.